early 15th century, torn apart by the 100 Years' War. The once proud nation was now a chessboard for English ambitions, its people living under the oppressive thumb of foreign rule. France was in a state of political and social turmoil, the air thick with despair and the bitter taste of defeat. The English crown's dominance seemed unshakable, its grip on French soil tightening with every passing day. Cities were besieged, fields lay barren, and the spirit of the French people was at an all-time low. It was a time when faith was tested and hope seemed like an unaffordable luxury. The French crown was buckling under the weight of the English onslaught, and the people yearned for a savior, a beacon of hope to guide them out of the darkness. One soon emerged, a young peasant girl named Joan. Now enter Joan, a mere teenager, but with a conviction that belies her years. Born in the humble village of Domremy, Joan was a simple peasant girl, far removed from the pomp and power of the royal courts, yet she was marked by an extraordinary destiny. Joan claimed to have visions, divine revelations, that told her she was chosen by God to lead France to victory against the English in the 100 Years' War. Guided by these visions, Joan embarked on an audacious journey to the court of Charles VII to offer her assistance. Picture this young teenage girl, standing before the future king, asserting her divine mission to command an army. She was met with derision, skepticism, and even mockery. Yet Joan remained steadfast in her belief and her purpose. Despite skepticism and ridicule, Joan was granted a small army to aid in the siege of Orléans. A mere teenager had answered the call to arms, and history was about to be rewritten. Orléans, a city under siege and on the brink of collapse, was Joan's first test. In the heart of the 100 Years' War, the city was a pivotal stronghold for the French, yet it lay in the iron grip of the English forces. Joan, a 17-year-old peasant girl, now a symbol of hope for a beleaguered nation. Her role in the Battle of Orléans was not merely symbolic. Joan was actively involved in formulating strategies, inspiring troops, and even participating in assaults. She was no mere figurehead, but a leader in the truest sense. Her presence breathed new life into the demoralized French forces, her conviction becoming their rallying cry. And it worked. 7 days of fierce fighting, and the tide had turned. The English siege was broken, and the city was reclaimed. Joan's strategic insight and indomitable spirit had won the day. With the victory at Orléans, Joan had proven her worth, but her trials were not yet over. Joan's triumph was short-lived. Betrayal, capture, and a trial awaited her. In the aftermath of her victories, Joan was captured by the Burgundians, allies of the English, during a skirmish near Compiègne. A hefty ransom was demanded for her release, but the French king, Charles VII, failed to come to her aid. The Burgundians handed Joan over to the English, who were eager to rid themselves of this bothersome Maid of Orléans. She was put on trial for heresy, a court proceeding steeped in political motivations. Accused of various charges, including cross-dressing and claiming direct communication with God, Joan was trapped in a web of legal manipulation. Joan, despite her lack of formal education, defended herself with an astoundingly sharp wit and unwavering faith. Yet, the outcome was already decided. She was found guilty and sentenced to death. In May of 1431, Joan of Arc was burned at the stake in Rouen, ending her life at the tender age of 19. But Joan's story didn't end there. 25 years later, a posthumous retrial was initiated by the Catholic Church, and she was acquitted of all charges. Her name was cleared, her reputation restored. Joan's legacy continued to grow over the centuries. She became a symbol of French nationalism, of optimism and fortitude during times of strife. Her bravery and faith were celebrated, her story taught in schools and depicted in art and literature. In 1920, nearly 5 centuries after her death, Joan of Arc was canonized by the Catholic Church, officially recognizing her as a saint. This peasant girl, who led an army and defied a king, continues to inspire millions with her courage and conviction. She reminds us that extraordinary courage can be found in the most unlikely of places,